My daughter was 6 when I started pushing her to do chores. I filmed everything, documenting her struggle. She wasn't even tall enough to reach the counter, and standing on a step stool, she couldn't get comfortable. Tears of frustration streamed down her face as she whined about not wanting to learn, but I remained calm, simply urging her to continue. Online, people accused me of being desperate for fame, abusing my child for attention. Some even questioned if I was her biological mother. 6 months later, a video I appeared in went viral. It was an electronic will I'd left for my daughter. In the video, I smiled and said, "When I'm gone, let these videos be your comfort. If you miss mommy, just watch them." Melancholy sweet potato reminds you to get your tissues ready, the text read. And so, the Bamboo Clear Testament began. After my cancer diagnosis, my daughter was my only concern. She was just 6, so small and soft, with a cute bob haircut. Everyone in our family adored her, but she was an introverted, timid child. She'd hesitate to speak up when she wanted something or felt wronged. I'd have to coax her to open up. Normally, this wouldn't be a major issue. She'd outgrow it. But the doctor gave me 6 months, max. I couldn't wait for her to grow up. The more innocent she was, the more my heart ached. I dreaded the thought of her being bullied without me, or being uncared for, or worse, poorly cared for. My husband and his parents were a bit careless, not always attuned to a child's emotional needs. And if my husband remarried, my daughter's situation could become difficult. After much thought, I made a few decisions. In my limited time, I would teach her how to be independent. I would record as many videos as possible, answering every question I could think of. I would leave her a substantial amount of money. I would send her a letter every year until she turned 18. The idea was simple, but execution proved difficult. She was only 6 and couldn't grasp the concept of death. She'd only know I was suddenly gone, never to return, never to hug her again. I would be her childhood's greatest sorrow, a thought that tore me apart more than my own impending death. I opened an account for my daughter, depositing all my savings into it, set for a 10-year term. By then, she'd be 16 and could manage the money herself. The house was already in her name, and she'd inherit it when she was older, free to sell it or live in it. Once all the arrangements were settled, I pulled her out of her enrichment classes. After school, I'd take her out every day, to the park, the amusement park, the play gym. The joy she once had to work so hard for, she now experienced daily with me. I'd set up my camera, filming everything. She was truly adorable, with long lashes, chubby, fair cheeks, and eyes that melted my heart whenever she looked at me. My daughter was popular with other kids, but sometimes they'd pinch her cheeks or snatch her toys. Even when she disliked it, she'd remain polite, at most just avoiding them. Watching this, my worries deepened. The next day, I stopped aimlessly playing with her and enrolled her in a martial arts class. Martial arts are tough. I'd never considered it before, but if I were gone, and she entered adolescence without guidance on how to refuse people she didn't like, she'd at least be able to protect herself. After 2 days of practicing horse stance, before even starting formal training, she cried, saying she was too tired and didn't want to go. I hardened my heart, refusing firmly and insisting she persevere. She got upset and threw a tantrum. I edited it into a video and uploaded it to a new account, which unexpectedly drew countless curses. How could you put such a sweet, young daughter online like that? You must be crazy. The child clearly doesn't want to learn, but the parent is forcing her for views. You don't deserve to be a mother. This is the age for intense studying. Instead of letting her study, you make her play all day and film videos? Is this what a biological mother does? You've lost all shame for views. I had thoroughly checked the video before uploading it, ensuring no negative impact, but I understood their outrage, as my prior focus for my daughter had been academic achievement. When I was there to shield her, she only needed to be an innocent, happy little girl, but I couldn't protect her much longer. In nature, mother animals teach their young to hunt. In my limited time, I wanted to teach her life's most valuable lessons, and academic success was a small part of that. I didn't want her to be obedient, well-behaved, or refined. I wanted her to be brave, resilient, and self-reliant. Without her mom, she needed to learn to fight and contend, to be a predator and live a fierce life. Besides martial arts, I wanted to teach her to cook. Food is essential, no matter the circumstances. She must eat well and take care of herself. She wasn't tall enough for the stove, so I bought her a sturdy children's step stool. She'd look at me for reassurance after every step, only continuing after my encouragement. Seeing her cautious and nervous at the stove, knowing she'd have to do more and harder things by herself later, my heart felt like it was being sliced. If I could, I would never let her grow up so fast. But fate wasn't on my side. I had to be tough. Underneath the martial arts video, comments only questioned my parenting. But the cooking video sparked outright fury. She's lost her mind trying to go viral. Is this mom planning a second child, forcing the little girl to learn to take care of a younger one? If you can't raise them, don't have them. She's so young and already has to learn to cook. Is everyone else in the family dead? I was forced to learn to cook at that age, and had to feed pigs and wash everyone's clothes too. Believe me, what she shows is just the tip of the iceberg. Who knows what she makes her do privately. It's great to have a daughter, another free little nanny. In the last video, the child said it was great not to have enrichment classes, which means she used to have them. Now they're all stopped, and she has to cook at home? Chilling. Some people just don't deserve to be parents. The video went viral, gaining hundreds of thousands of haters. My DMs were filled with insults. Even my parents saw it. My mom called, asking, "Are you and your in-laws too busy? Mom can come help you, okay? Don't make her learn to cook. She still needs her enrichment classes. Kids are so competitive now. Don't let her fall behind in school." Moms always worry about their daughters. Even though I was 35 and nearing the end, she still saw me as her child. I felt ashamed, tears welling up. I hadn't properly shown her my filial piety, and we often argued. I was truly unfilial. It was because I had pushed her too hard before that I wanted her to relax. I said, having a happy childhood is important too. My mom, however, started thinking about my own childhood and sighed. You're right. Before, your dad and I were busy with work, and on weekends, we always left you alone at home. Then we always made you help take care of your brother. We failed you as parents. Parents always feel they owe their children, fearing they haven't given enough for them to have a good life. My eyes welled up. I felt deeply sorry to my parents. Seeing me silent, my mom tentatively asked, "Can I come visit you in a few days?" I panicked, afraid she'd realize I was sick and dying. My mom was very sensitive, and if I refused, she'd suspect something more. So, I forced myself to sound cheerful and readily agreed. But as soon as I hung up, I grew anxious, trying to figure out how to hide it. It had been over a week since my diagnosis, and I hadn't told anyone, not even my husband. My husband only found out about me stopping our daughter's enrichment classes from the videos. One evening, after he returned from working late, he carefully asked, "Are you trying to make our daughter an influencer?" I shook my head. He looked even more confused. "Then why did you suddenly stop her classes and take her out every day?" I thought he was angry and was about to explain when I heard him say, "Hurt, and you hid it from me, didn't take me along? How can you be so biased?" I couldn't help but laugh through my tears. We'd been in love for 10 years. From vibrant and expressive when we first met, to now composed and refined, we'd both become the people we'd always wanted to be, and his gaze towards me had never changed. I still loved him deeply, but this love had only 6 months left. In front of him, I couldn't pretend, nor could I stop my tears. I had to tell him the truth. "Honey, I'm dying." He froze for a long time. At first, he thought I was joking, but seeing my tears, he became unsure, instinctively pulling me into a hug, gently patting my back to comfort me. As my breakdown subsided, he found his voice. "No, you won't," he said softly. "With me here, I won't let anything happen to you. Are you feeling unwell? Then we'll rest and get better. Don't worry about work or anything else at home." His voice was strained, almost crying. "Whatever happens, let's not give up, okay?" I started crying again, not for myself, but because I truly couldn't bear to leave him. "It's lung cancer," I told him, "stage 4. He held me even tighter, as if trying to merge me into his body. He choked back sobs, his voice filled with disbelief and fear. How can this be? Like me, he couldn't understand why this was happening to me, why it had suddenly descended upon our family. "You're so young, and you have no bad habits. Why lung cancer?" But he was even more unwilling to accept it than I was. "Don't be scared, honey, don't be scared yet. I'll find my classmates, my superiors, the best doctors in the world for you. We can definitely cure this." When I first received the diagnosis, I had thought of that too, but lung cancer has a very high mortality rate, mainly because early symptoms are so hidden. Once discovered, It's often too late. I couldn't bear to tell him that the cancer had already spread to my sternum, and every breath was excruciating, so I nodded cooperatively. Okay, I won't give up, we'll fight this, but I knew it was just a waste of time. I gently caressed his face, a habit we'd had since we were dating. Whenever I felt for him, or wanted to comfort him, I'd lean into his embrace and trace his features with my fingertips. Whenever I did this, even after an argument, he'd laugh involuntarily, catch my hand, say it tickled, and tell me not to take advantage of him. But this time, he didn't laugh. His warm tears blurred my hands. Honey, I thought, heartbroken, you'll have to endure so much this time. You'll accompany me to doctors, help me hide this from our families, work hard, and take care of our daughter. And after I'm gone, you'll have to live well. Don't forget me, start a new life. I wrote these words in a letter, unable to say them directly. Talking about it made me cry, and I didn't want to spend my last days with him crying and bitter. I wanted to be happy, so he'd remember me with joy. I, who rarely wore makeup, now put it on daily to hide my increasingly drawn face. My husband tirelessly searched for hospitals and specialists for me. He researched extensively online, sharing any new findings immediately, not missing any chance to save me. Of course, I cooperated, showing a strong will to fight, to give him some hope. We both tried our best to hide it from our families, but secrets rarely stay buried. My perceptive mother-in-law was the first to notice something was off. Both she and my father-in-law were retired teachers, so they had plenty of time. Since they lived in the same neighborhood, they often visited. Her lamb dish was legendary, tender, fresh, and completely free of gamey odor. Our whole family loved it. This day, she brought fresh lamb ribs to make hand-grabbed lamb and lamb hot pot for us. Her joyful smile froze as she walked in. She scrutinized my face and then asked, worried, Ching Ching, tell Mom the truth. Has something happened? What's wrong, Mom? I forced a smile. She took my hand, her eyes welling up as she looked into mine. You've lost so much weight all of a sudden. I didn't know what to tell her. My mother-in-law was a kind woman who treated me like her own daughter. If she knew I had cancer and was dying, she'd be devastated. Mom, it's my fault. I choked out an apology. I've been under too much stress lately and have had trouble sleeping. I've made you worry. My mother-in-law felt for me but also seemed relieved. Young people today are under so much pressure. How can you blame yourself? Don't take things to heart. You need to rest and recover. Your health is what matters. I smiled and nodded. My mother-in-law smiled back, then started lecturing my husband. What's wrong with this good-for-nothing? He didn't even notice his wife was upset. I'll have a good talk with him when he gets back. With that, she deftly began preparing the ingredients for dinner. Watching her busy figure, I felt even more guilty. I asked her, are you upset that I stopped our daughter's enrichment classes and started filming her? After the videos went viral, many relatives called me, saying I was spoiling my daughter. They said education was so competitive now, and my daughter should be focusing on studying. They thought I was being idle by just filming every day. Even if she wasn't in tutoring, she should at least be reading extracurricular books. They questioned why I was making her learn to cook when there were plenty of people at home to do it, and why I bothered with the videos given the hurtful comments online. I expected my mother-in-law to scold me too. Instead, she said, you're her mother. No one loves her more or cares more about her future than you do. Even though I felt a little sad about it, I knew you were doing what was best for her. So, I won't blame you. In fact, I'll support you wholeheartedly. My mother-in-law spoke with a constant smile, like a spring breeze calming my anxious heart. Knowing my daughter had such a grandmother, I felt I could leave in peace. That evening, I received a call from my mom saying she'd come over that weekend. Thursday was my first chemotherapy session. I hadn't wanted chemo because I'd heard from other patients that the side effects were terrible, and with cancer, ultimately, it's all about fate. Some patients died 3 days after chemo, others lived 5 years. Who knew what made the difference? Money, fame, talent, beauty, none of it mattered. In the face of a virus, humans were equally small and fragile. I didn't want to waste time or money, but I was even more afraid my husband would realize my true feelings. He was still hoping I'd recover. He took a few days off work in advance, making up an excuse about us needing a change of scenery. He coaxed and tricked our daughter into staying with her grandparents, and then accompanied me to the hospital. We had researched chemo beforehand, but we still underestimated the pain. In the 3 days I was hospitalized, I wanted to escape countless times. Dizziness, headaches, vomiting. I visibly wasted away, my face frighteningly pale. On the third day, my hair started falling out in clumps, and I developed over a dozen mouth ulcers. Eating became torture. My husband's expression shifted from hopeful to pained and conflicted. He hadn't slept a full night in 3 days, waking startled even from short naps in the reclining chair. Then he'd tightly grip my hand, checking if it was still warm. He had accompanied me to the hospital before, when our daughter was born. I had a C-section and was hospitalized for a week, and he had taken care of me and our daughter day and night. But back then, he was happy, a smile always on his face, unlike now, where he looked like he might cry any second. Finally, the first chemo session ended, but I didn't know what to do. My current appearance would alarm anyone, let alone my mom, who was coming tomorrow after my discharge. That day, the first snow fell, white flakes danced in the air, landing on the bleak ground. Passers-by gasped, stopping to capture the rare beauty, perhaps sending it to someone important. The atmosphere was peaceful, even the biting east wind had softened. He loved snow too, didn't he? Every time it snowed, the wind was remarkably quiet, and the temperature rose significantly. I watched the swirling snowflakes, recalling countless first snowfalls from the past, rolling in the snow with my friends, deliberately building an upside-down snowman, taking photos with my girlfriends on the first snow day. Later, as an adult, accepting my husband's shy confession in a flurry of snow, countless memorable days, like snowflakes, came flooding back. I turned to look at my husband and realized he'd been watching me too. I couldn't help but smile, taking his hand. It's snowing, let's go home and have hot pot. My husband nodded, wrapping my scarf tightly around me and putting on my hat. You wait for me in the hallway, my husband said. I'll go get the car. Let's just walk together, I said, gripping his fingers. I didn't want to waste a single moment with him. He suddenly teared up, forcing a stiff smile. He slowly helped me walk. I'll carry you on my back, he suddenly suggested. I knew he thought I was too weak and worried I'd collapse in the snow. No, it's fine, I said. I'll walk slowly. My husband half squatted in front of me. I couldn't help but smile, remembering how he used to do this, when we were in a secluded spot. He'd suddenly decide to carry me on his back or pick me up, often startling me and earning us stares from passers-by. It seemed so childish now. I'm really getting on, I said, eager, placing my hands on his shoulders. He extended his arms back, ready to catch me. I leaped with all my might, and he caught me steadily, carrying me firmly on his back, walking much faster than when he helped me walk. Honey, his voice suddenly became hoarse. You know what? You're so light, he cried again. After our daughter was born, he seemed to mature overnight, becoming an incredibly strong father. But since my cancer diagnosis, he had become so fragile, crying even more than I did. I wanted to tease him, but the words caught in my throat. Instead, I tried to lighten the mood. That's great. A perfect figure, my love. My husband laughed through his tears, playing along. You're my love too. The snow fell heavier. The distance from the hospital corridor to the parking lot was over 300 feet. Snow accumulated on my husband's hair. I silently took off my hood. The snow fell soundlessly on my hair, cold, piece by piece. Watching his hair and shoulders turn white with snow, a secret joy blossomed in my heart. If we share the snow today, then we've grown old together in this life. Wutong Snow. You see, the promise you made to grow old with me has already come true. So from now on, you don't have to carry my pain anymore. You have your own life. Let's walk different paths from here. I wrote to him in my heart. Life is like this. More partings than meetings. Shallow. Where is deep love? Forgetting is keeping. At the same time, I repeated in my mind, peace, health, happiness, please do not disturb. He would live a long life because I would protect him from heaven. Back home, we pretended to be returning from a trip, bringing a pile of online-ordered local specialties. We picked up our daughter from her grandparents' house. Before going, I had put on makeup. My mother-in-law didn't notice my increasingly dull and withered appearance and enthusiastically told us how our daughter was doing in her martial arts class. After not seeing her for a few days, I missed my daughter terribly and stared at her, unblinking. My daughter was even more clingy to me. During those 3 days in the hospital, I had been itching to see her. My husband realized the videos were helping, so he no longer questioned my decision and even bought her miniature cooking utensils and knives. In previous videos, my daughter had already learned to boil eggs, make dumplings, and cook noodles. Today, she wanted scallion oil noodles and asked me to teach her. After she made it, my daughter tasted it and exclaimed, "It tastes just like Mom's." Then, she excitedly picked up a mouthful and fed it to me. "Mom, try it. It really tastes the same. It's so good." I smiled and tasted it. It was indeed identical, almost bringing tears to my eyes. A mother's taste is always special. My daughter was truly smart and amazing. Now she had learned her mom's taste. She could cook it herself whenever she missed me. "Baby, what do you want to learn next?" I asked her. "Shredded potatoes," she declared decisively. My daughter loved shredded potatoes, sour, spicy, with a hint of wok hei. She could eat them every day and not get tired of them. But I couldn't eat spicy food anymore. Suddenly, a metallic taste flooded my throat, accompanied by a warm sweetness. I quickly covered my mouth, but it was too late to stop it on camera. Fortunately, my daughter was standing on her stool, washing her tiny cooking utensils, and didn't notice my distress. Blood flowed like a faucet through my fingers. I rushed out of the kitchen and into the bathroom. Reality isn't a fairy tale. Miracles rarely happen. My condition was worse than before chemotherapy. On the day my mom arrived, I couldn't even get out of bed. My brother drove her over, and they carried many bags. I put on a loose down jacket and forced myself to the door to greet them. My husband reached out to take their bags. I instinctively reached too, only to realize I couldn't even lift a single chicken. My daughter chattered excitedly to my mom, who, looking down, didn't notice. My brother, however, saw it and casually took the chicken back. "So fragile now," he teased. I smiled at him, walking side by side at the very back. My brother suddenly sighed. "It's better to be a bit heavier, strong, and hits hard, this brat." I raised my hand, pretending to hit him. My brother played along. "Look, Mom, my sister's going to hit your precious son again." "Mom, hit him a few more times for me," my mom interjected. "He's so old and still not married. Just seeing him gives me a headache." My brother rolled his eyes. My daughter bounced and laughed, joy radiating from every strand of her hair. She adored her uncle because he indulged her in everything, letting her eat 3 ice creams and 10 lollipops in one go. This time, he brought her many small toys, making her ecstatic. She even ate an extra half bowl of rice at lunch. I smiled throughout, as if I had forgotten my illness. "Eat, you eat too," my mom urged, piling food onto my plate. She kept piling it until it was a small mountain, refusing to stop. She didn't know I couldn't eat that much. The reason I kept serving them and talking to them was so I could eat less. I was in pain, my mouth hurt, my throat hurt, my whole body ached. I still ate a lot in the end, enduring until it was over. My husband cut some fruit, and the family chatted in the living room. I made an excuse to go to the bathroom. I turned on the faucet, using the rushing water as cover, and vomited violently, tears and snot streaming down my face. I tried to hold back my tears, knowing my eyes would be red and easily give me away, but the physiological tears were unstoppable. I somewhat regretted going through chemo. At least then I could have maintained some basic dignity and not looked so obviously ill. When I came out of the bathroom, my mom indeed noticed. She stared at my eyes, then at my bony ankles, and her own eyes slowly reddened, but she didn't expose me immediately. Instead, she turned her back, keeping my brother from seeing. My brother had just graduated college and was a rookie programmer at a big tech company. Despite his short tenure, his hairline and stubble already rivaled his seniors. At 23, he looked 32. No wonder my mom worried. Even I was concerned he wouldn't find a girlfriend. He had to work tomorrow, so after playing with our daughter for a while, he prepared to leave. My husband and daughter went to see him off. The moment the door closed, my mom's tears fell. She just cried, not speaking. I understood her habit because I was very much like her. When we cried, we couldn't make a sound. Even if we spoke, our voices were muffled, like they were stuffed with cotton, completely indistinct. We stood there, facing each other, crying, like looking into a mirror. I looked at her and felt as if I was seeing my older self, my thoughts crossing the unknown, uneventful 25 years to my 60s. Her experiences were my experiences. Her happiness was my happiness. Her sorrow would be entirely carried away with my departure. If only that were true, it might make up for some of the filial piety I hadn't expressed. But how could it? A parent burying their child, just imagining her feelings, even briefly, made me want to die from the pain. I hugged her, my heart aching. I would be free, but what about those left behind? My daughter was still innocent. She would soon forget. My husband was still young. He could slowly move on by finding another relationship. But my mom? She looked at me as if looking in a mirror. How could she calmly face losing a part of herself, cut away so brutally? I was truly unfilial, making her endure such undeserved pain at 60, when she should be enjoying her grandchildren. Ching ching, what's wrong with you? My mom said, her voice calm, but within half a sentence, she started crying again. I still wanted to fool her by saying I was on a diet. Who diets themselves into a skeleton? My mom interrupted sharply. Your mom is old, but she's not senile. Don't lie to me. I couldn't speak. This time, it was my turn to cry. My mom said unhappily, you're still hiding it from me? I'll go ask your in-laws then. She made to get up and leave. I knew she was bluffing, so I immediately pulled on her sleeve. But I pulled too hard, fell to the floor, and coughed violently, spitting up blood. My mom was terrified. She rushed over to help me, unconsciously whimpering, helpless and distraught, her eyes panicked, hands trembling as she tried to stop the blood I was coughing up. She probably wanted to stop the bleeding, but she couldn't. How unsightly, I thought sadly before losing consciousness. I should have just told her directly, given her some psychological preparation. Now look, I've left my sweet old mother with a trauma. What am I going to do? I woke up in the hospital. My mom sat slumped by the bed, her eyes swollen like walnuts. Her eye bags were already prominent, a trait I'd inherited completely, and now they made her look even older. I moved my fingertips, picking at a hole in her sweater. My mom looked at me, forcing a smile. You're awake? That's wonderful. I'll go call the doctor. I kept picking at her sweater, not letting go. What's wrong? Thirsty or hungry? My mom asked anxiously. Be good. I need to ask the doctor if you can drink water or eat. I shook my head. Mom, I said with difficulty, this time, let's not listen to the doctors. Let's go home. I haven't taught my daughter how to make shredded potatoes yet. My mom cried uncontrollably but kept nodding as if it were my dying wish. Later, we still asked the doctor. The doctor regretfully said there were no other good options. They had suggested chemotherapy because there were no targeted drugs available, but my immune system was too weak, and the chemo results weren't good. What happened next was up to fate. I had tried so hard to hide it, only to end up with a huge disaster.